From Daily Trust News Center, this is the News Hour.
On News Hour tonight, INEC says sensitive election materials no longer to be kept with CBN. PDP Lagos State protests cancellation and rescheduling of House of Reps primaries in Abuja. Mob kills vigilante member in Abuja over alleged blasphemy. And on the foreign scene, driver killed, several injured in high-speed train crash in China. Hello and welcome to Trust TV News Hour. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. The chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Mahmoud Yakubu, says sensitive electoral materials in the meantime will no longer be routed through the Central Bank of Nigeria. He also specifically notes that beginning from the Ekiti State governorship election, INEC will not keep its sensitive materials with the CBN. According to him, this decision is to guarantee that electoral materials for the lined-up elections are not compromised. The INEC chairman stated this while responding to questions in an ongoing dialogue in Abuja. Several individuals and groups have raised serious concern about the sanctity of election materials kept with the CBN after stories about the CBN governor, Mr. Godwin Emefiele, indicating interest to contest for the country's presidential seat hit the airwaves in recent months. And some aggrieved members of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, in Lagos State has organized a protest at the party headquarters, Wadata Plaza, in Abuja. The protest is coming after the National Working Committee announced the cancellation and rescheduling of House of Representative primaries that took place on the 22nd of May 2022. According to PDP National Publicity Secretary Debo Ologunagba, Lagos State House of Representative primary has been rescheduled for Monday, 6th of June 2022. Aggrieved members of the party are crying foul that winners of the House of Representative primaries had already emerged via a free, fair and credible election on May 22nd. They are therefore calling on the party leadership to maintain the status quo and forward the names of the House of Reps winners who won at the primaries to INEC and to avoid crisis via the planned rescheduled election on Monday. Meanwhile, the Federal High Court in Kano has held that statutory delegates can participate in primaries, conventions, congresses, or meetings of political parties in accordance with the 1999 Constitution. Statutory delegates include the President, Vice President, members of the National Assembly, governors and their deputies, members of the State Houses of Assembly, chairmen of councils, councillors and National Working Committee of political parties, amongst others. Justice Muhammad Liman stated this on Friday while ruling on a suit filed by Senator El Jibril Gogoa, a legislative aide to the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Femi Gbajabiamila. Gogoa filed the suit along with two others, Habibu Sani and Bilyaminu Shinkafi, and listed the Senate President, National Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Gbajabiamila, and the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, as defendants. With 3 days to the exercise, Justice Liman, in his ruling, held that Section 84, subsection 8, cannot be interpreted to have excluded statutory delegates from voting at conventions. Meanwhile, the national chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Abdullahi Adamu, has said the party is not happy with the outburst of one of his presidential aspirants, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in Abeokuta, saying that Tinubu might be sanctioned by the party. Adamu also said the party has appealed the judgment in favor of the statutory delegates, meaning they will not participate in the upcoming presidential primary. He made comments while speaking with reporters at the APC National Secretariat in Abuja on Saturday. Tinubu, while campaigning in Abeokuta on Thursday, said he deserves to lead the nation after helping President Buhari win the 2015 general election. Many viewed his speech as disrespectful to the president. But in a statement on Friday, Tinubu maintained that he holds President Buhari in high regard. He said his comments were not meant to disrespect the president and had been taken out of context. Some members of the All Progressives Congress under the aegis of Gaskiya Youth Movement are asking the Federal High Court in Abuja to disqualify the former Lagos State Governor and presidential aspirant Bola Ahmed Tinubu from the party's primaries, scheduled for Monday, 6th and 7th. The members who made the request in a suit filed before the court listed APC and Tinubu as first and second defendants, while the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is listed as the third defendant. Part of their prayers include asking the court to determine whether Tinubu can participate in the APC primaries or that any other political party, given his questionable educational background and date of birth. They are also seeking a declaration that given the questionable educational background and date of birth, among other questionable issues, the APC cannot allow or permit his participation in the primary election for the office of president. The group also wants the court to declare that Tinubu cannot participate by presenting himself in any primary election with any political party in Nigeria to be nominated as a presidential aspirant for the 2023 general election. Meanwhile, the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is set to hold fresh primaries in Lagos, Imo, Benue and Katsina states. In a statement issued on Saturday, the party's National Publicity Secretary, Debo Ologunagba, said the decision was reached after careful consideration of the electoral and appeal panel's reports on the congresses held in those states. He said on Sunday, June 5th, 2022, the rerun primaries for Ahiazu State Constituency and Osu State Constituency in Imo State will be held. Ologunagba added that on Sunday, June 5th, the election for Musawa, Zango and Ndume state constituencies in Katsina, Oru East, Osu, Olu federal constituencies in Imo State, and Kwande, Ushongo federal constituencies in Benue will take place. He added that the primaries for the Lagos State House of Representatives, which constitutes 24 federal constituencies, will take place on Monday, June the 6th. Governor Rotimi Akeredolu of Ondo State has assured that the All Progressives Congress, APC, will have a hitch-free presidential primary election on Monday. Akeredolu said this in a statement by his chief press secretary, Richard Olatunde, on Saturday in Akure. Akeredolu is the chairman, subcommittee on security and compliance for the APC Special Convention and presidential primary election. He said the party was ready for the election, adding that work had already commenced at the venue with security and other necessary activities as a priority. The governor said the APC, being a disciplined political party with disciplined members, will surely have a hitch-free primary. And still talking politics, the former national chairman of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, APGA, Senator Victor Ume, has dumped the party for the Labour Party. On Friday, he clinched the party's ticket for the Anambra Central senatorial seat for the 2023 general elections after participating in Labour Party's primary election. Ume will battle Senator Uche Ekwinife of the People's Democratic Party, APGA's Dozie Nwankwo, and Chief Kodilichukwu Okelekwe of All Progressives Congress in the main election next year. This is coming a few days after ex-Anambra State Governor Peter Obi resigned from the PDP, where he was aspiring to contest for president. Obi is now Labour Party's presidential candidate for the 2023 elections. Both Obi and Ume are from Anaucha local government area of Anambra State.
One is that Labour Party has offered me this platform to contest the election and continue to defend our people. Going to the Senate is very important for me at this point because our people are heavily challenged in Nigeria, and the National Assembly is a place we need people who are capable, bold, courageous, and competent. The call came from an unusual quarter from my estranged brother, and that call made peace between two of us. We decided to put our differences apart and come together one more time for the good of our people.
Meanwhile, Sani Yahya of the Young People's Party, YPP, has emerged the youngest governorship candidate in Kaduna State. Yahya, who emerged through consensus, told journalists after the primary in Kaduna that youth can only take their place in the governance of the country by shunning politics of money. The report.
Sani Yahya, who emerged as the candidate of the Young People's Party through an affirmative vote, says he is confident of winning the election in 2023, adding that for the youth to be relevant in politics, they must have interests of the people at heart.
Years before now, you can never find something like this, and I assure you that by 2023, I will become elected. We have been sensitizing the youth to shun religious bigotry, lack of patriotism, lack of nationalism, and ethnic nationalism. We have also informed the youth to shun money politics. That is why we believe youth are going to look into the youths as their colleagues and return them elected.
Meanwhile, the candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance in Kaduna governorship election, Andrew Duya, after winning the primary, says he is optimistic that electronic transmission of results will reduce rigging and result manipulation, and harped on the need for the security challenges bedeviling Kaduna State to be addressed.
With the advent of the electronic transmission of result, that will put a stop up to a very higher percentage of the incidence of rigging and manipulation of result. As a government, the government has all the powers, all the resources. Whether these resources are human or material, the government has it. It's just the willingness to employ or deploy such resources and tackle the issue. We all know it. The government knows it. They know what they are supposed to do. And let me be frank with you. The government has the power. It has everything to tackle the insecurity.
Today, we only come here to complete the process that is laid down by the Electoral Act, to affirm him from delegates from various local governments that comprises Kaduna State, which you have witnessed, we have done. Everybody shouted in affirmative that they have agreed that our candidate Ibrahim Adamu to be the person that will fly our flag in Kaduna State as gubernatorial candidate.
With the emergence of Sani Yahya of Young People's Party as the youngest candidate among many candidates in Kaduna State, many believe it is an eye-opener to many young men and women to take the bull by the horn by actively involving themselves in future elections.
And still talking politics, Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed has been elected as the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in the state. The chairman, Primary Election Committee, Murtala Damagum, said Bala was the only candidate for the exercise following the withdrawal of the former secretary to the state government from the race. Adamu Imam was there and now reports.
Bala, who had lost his bid for the presidential ticket of the PDP, was the sole aspirant at the primary. Out of the 656 accredited delegates, Governor Bala polled 646 votes, while 10 delegates were absent during the exercise. Announcing the result, Chairman PDP Primary Election Committee, Murtala Muhammad Damagun, said Governor Bala scored the highest votes of 646 and returned him elected as the flag bearer.
By the power vested on me as an electoral officer on this occasion, having satisfied with all the electoral process, you hereby declare our last presidential candidate and our new gubernatorial candidate, which is Senator Bala Mohammed Kaura Bauchi.
In his acceptance speech shortly after the announcement, Bala Mohammed attributed his success to God and thanked the PDP family for giving him another opportunity to fly the party's flag in the 2023 elections.
The presidential election I'm putting behind my back. I'm ready to work with the PDP from the presidential level to the House of Assembly level. And as you know me, I'm going to lead you with justice and everything. And in my own dictionary, there is no laziness. And nobody will lag behind in all within the I thank you most sincerely. I thank the official of INEC for having the patience to come and witness this.
This was the second round of primary election as a result of the withdrawal of the former SSG Ibrahim Kashim, which paved way for the governor to clinch the ticket after losing his presidential primary election held recently in Abuja. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
Meanwhile, a 37-year-old Umar Aliu has been elected as the governorship candidate of the Young People's Progressive Party, YPP, for the 2023 election in Bauchi State. Aliu, who was the sole candidate for the election, emerged via a voice vote. Adam Imam was there and now reports.
The governorship aspirant was elected by the delegates from all 20 local government areas during the party primaries, which was supervised by officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission and the security agencies. At the end of the voice voting process, the state party chairman, Hamza Garba, presented the candidates to party faithful and INEC as the winner of the primary of YPP, in line with the constitution of the party and the Nigerian electoral laws. Garba commended the party delegates for their support, and the party will send the candidate and his manifesto for development of youth and the state in general. Aliu, in his response, informed all why he joined the race.
Is to ensure that we reduce the level of unemployment in the state. And the strategies that we are going to apply in ensuring that we reduce the level of this unemployment is to revitalize our moribund industries. When we revitalize those industries, we will employ more youths, and at the same time, our economic growth will aspire.
The YPP believes that if the youth are given the chance, they will perform even better, noting that the time has come for the younger generation to take over the affairs of governance across the state.
That youth should be given a chance to come and contest in a party that will give them the mandate to go and contribute their better. Because the youth are leaving behind, we are left behind. There are many things that youth can contribute to the nation building.
Because our youths, they don't turn to poor people because of, they know has a percentage for the country. The leadership will bundle our youth. So, for that matter, I want to call a youth, may they come join us.
Youths in the state came out in their numbers to show support and solidarity during the conduct of the primary, saying their time has come. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
You're watching Trust TV News Hour. Still to come on the news, environmental degradation in focus as world marks 2022 Environment Day. Details of this and more after the break. Do stay with us.
To every politician, as the campaigns gain momentum and passions begin to rise, remember, the errors of your opponents do not make you a success. Do not run down your opponent and inflame passions to violence between and among your supporters. What counts is what you plan to do for the electorate and how you intend to relieve the sufferings and bring succor. Nigeria is in dire need of patriotic leaders at all levels, leaders who will make national development their priority. Concentrate on telling the electorate what you intend to do when you get into office. Focus on making your vision clear to the electorate. Don't engage in verbal abuses, fake news or speeches. Keep dealing with issues that will bring progress. You win the hearts and minds of the people by being above board, by being civil, patriotic, and showing empathy. Let's join hands to make the 2023 elections peaceful. A message from the National Orientation Agency.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Hour. Now another look at our top stories. INEC says sensitive election materials no longer to be kept with CBN. And PDP Lagos State protests cancellation and rescheduling of House of Reps primaries in Abuja. And now moving on to other news. A member of a vigilante group was on Friday killed in the Lugbe area of Abuja over alleged insult on Prophet Muhammad. It was gathered that the mob killing occurred at the Timber Market section of Fruit Market in Federal Housing Estate, Lugbe. Eyewitnesses said the victim, a Muslim, was notorious for insulting the Prophet, adding that the latest was on midnight of Saturday. Reports say the local security outfit was outnumbered before he was killed and burnt in front of the office. Policemen have restored calm in the area, which almost got volatile following the killing. The recent act of violence by commercial motorcycle and tricycle riders in the Federal Capital Territory is giving residents cause for concern. Apart from blatant disregard for traffic laws, authorities have also found that some of the riders are often deeply involved in criminal activities. New regulations will soon be introduced to curb the growing numbers of riders in the FCT. Kende Amudu unveils some of them.
The average commercial motorcycle rider, also known as Okada, and his counterpart in the tricycle, known as Keke, fulfill a key need in the transportation sector. However, a majority of such riders are now adopting a worrisome aggressiveness and a tendency to descend to violence. Residents have been worried about these traits for a while, but two incidents in Abuja in recent times have brought their activities to the notice of authorities. Add to the violence, criminal activities, and authorities feel it is time to put in place necessary checks.
It's not just traffic violation, it's a means of facilitating criminal activities in the FCT. It's equally alleged that Okada is used as a means of, delivering drug trafficking in the FCT as well. It's been also established that some of the Okada riders are non-Nigerians.
How far will these restrictions go?
We are introducing, the issue of rider certification for those who may be using Okada, particularly for dispatch activities. The engagement has started and training has equally started, because until you are certified by the Directorate of Traffic services, DRTS, it will be impossible in the next few months for you to use or ride motorcycle in the FCT.
Many residents who have had bad experiences are clamoring for a total ban.
The issue of total ban has been suggested. And then why I think is something for the administration to think about is that already some of the states contiguous to FCT are already banning. So, and if we don't put it in our front burner to consider whether to review the use of Okada in FCT, invariably in the next few years, FCT will be a dumping ground, and then the management of Okada will be overwhelming.
The Okada and Keke riders provide a crucial service to FCT residents, going beyond where bus and cab drivers stop and gaining entry into areas that cannot be easily accessed. But the concern of residents should not be treated with levity before things go out of hand. Kehinde Amudu, Trust TV News, Abuja.
And the Peace Ambassadors Center for Humanitarian Aid and Empowerment has called on Nigerians to support security agencies with credible information that will boost the fight against insurgency in the Northeast. The center, in its sensitization campaign tagged Explosive Ordnance Risk Education in the Northeast, took its message to 2 local government areas of Konduga and Jere, enlightening vulnerable communities on the dangers of explosive devices.
Who to report to, you get it? So it's just a kind of creating awareness to the people. If you are courageous enough, make a sign so that another person cannot come into it, cannot just pop into that explosive ordnance. You can make a sign by maybe putting a stone around them.
It was actually information that was gotten across the northeastern part of Nigeria, Borno, Adamawa and Yobe, during the conflict. So a lot of explosives were discovered, and we understand that the activities that is being done in the communities actually put people at risk of explosives, because there are remnants of explosives in their farmlands, sometimes within the community, their houses, and other commercial areas.
The Ministry of Power has blamed the current dip in the electricity generation and partial shutdown of the Oben gas plant. A statement by the spokesperson to the Minister of Power, Malam Isa Sanusi, noted that the plant was shut down to address the repair of critical gas processing equipment. Sanusi regretted that the incident occurred when other power plants on other gas sources are undergoing planned maintenance and capacity testing. He said Seplat Energy PLC has mobilized equipment, material and personnel to site with a view to expediting the restoration of normal gas supply to the affected power plants. While assuring that the repair work will be concluded over the weekend and normalcy restored, he said efforts are being made for a sustained improvement of supply across the country. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Al-Ali Baba, called on operatives of the force to embrace the use of native intelligence information and communication technology-driven approaches to combat the trend of crime and criminality that seem to defy traditional patterns of policing. IGP Usman equally emphasized the importance of strategically deploying technological assets such as unmanned aerial vehicles, upgraded road-to-base operational vehicles installed with high-tech communication and reporting features, and technical intelligence apparatus. The IGP made the call in a statement following the arrest of 2 suspects in connection with armed robbery, kidnapping, illegal possession of prohibited firearms, and criminal conspiracy in Taraba State. According to the statement signed by the Force Public Relations Office, Olumuyiwa Adejobi, the suspects are Abdurrahman Ba'u, aged 35 years, and Ahmed Umaru, aged 50, both from Gasol local government area of Taraba State. The duo were arrested in possession of 1 locally made revolver, military camouflage uniforms, 3 rounds of live ammunition, 3 operational swords, and hard drugs suspected to be tramadol and refinol. You're still watching Trust TV News Hour. The news continues after this short break. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us. Now, June 5th every year is set aside as World Environmental Day to draw attention to issues concerning the environment. The 2022 theme, Only One Earth, calls for collective transformative action on a global scale to protect and restore the planet. Nana Mohammed looks at the contributions of some individuals in saving the planet. The report.
Nigeria, like the rest of the world, is faced with environmental problems such as air pollution, water pollution, lead exposures, poor water management, poor waste management, deforestation, desertification, weed erosion, and flooding. Indiscriminate dumping of refuse and other unhealthy environmental practices have become a common practice among the populace. This is dangerous to human and aquatic animals and could often lead to illness such as respiratory tract infection, malaria, diarrhea, and in some cases, death. A visit to Jai Park in Abuja confirmed this, as indiscriminate dumping of waste has become the order of the day. Plastic and garbage are common trash on site in the relaxation park. John Kefas, a dance instructor at the park, walks us through his daily encounter with human practices that affect the environment.
Okay, so you can see things like the containers, all of this. Once they get into the water, they hardly decay. So we have to be aware of all of these materials. Like if you check, that's supposed to be a route for water going out, and a lot of trash come down here from the disposed trash, and then it blocks the environment. So you can see how dirty the environment looks. It's not actually beautiful even to the eyes. There's no way you can sit here and then you enjoy fresh air, you enjoy the nature.
He said, over the years, people visiting the parks are not aware of the danger of casual habits of throwing trash into the surrounding river. Unlike others, he says he regularly cleans the areas where he works and makes a living.
First of all, we need to enlighten the people about the havoc all of these things cause, the damage it does to the environment, and then to us as individuals, because I am sure that so many people have contacted diseases and other things because of the environment that's contaminated. So if we can learn to dispose our used containers and other things properly, I'm sure it will save our environment.
To complement his efforts and that of others, the government has to step in. While awareness and deliberate efforts need to be in place to save the earth, environmental scientist from the University of Port Harcourt, in his paper published online, shows a high number of deaths, greater than 300,000 and more than 3 million lost in Nigeria yearly due to unsafe water and sanitation. Unsafe water, poor sanitation have also led to annual deaths of about 1.7 million people, including over 70,000 children under the age of 5 in 2017. Niger Delta region's health issues have been increasing due to oil spills and illegal industrial waste. UN study in 2011 on the effects of oil spillage in the Niger Delta reported that the majority of the people living in oil-producing areas suffered from chronic diseases all their lives due to drinking water contaminated with high levels of hydrocarbon. As the world deals with environmental degradation, peculiar to Nigeria is the mass importation of second-hand motor vehicles, which can be used for a prolonged period, usually exceeding 30 years. Activists, however, lament that little or nothing tangible has been done to change the growing trend due to lack of resources in some places and awareness in some others, and even the political will to address the damaged environment. Nana Muhammad, Trust TV News, Abuja.
President Muhammadu Buhari has assented to the new appropriation bill recently passed into law by the National Assembly. Senior Special Assistant to the President on National Assembly Matters, House of Representatives, Umar El Yaqub, said the new law repeals the Appropriation Act passed by the lawmakers in December 2021 and enacts a new Appropriation Act 2022. This, he says, authorizes the issue from the Consolidated Revenue Fund of the Federation to a total sum of 17,319,704,091,090 naira only. Out of this is for statutory transfers, while 3.9 trillion will be for debt service. Similarly, 7.1 trillion is for recurrent expenditure, while 5.4 trillion will be for contribution to the Development Fund for capital expenditure for the year ending on the 31st of December 2022. The River State House of Assembly has screened and confirmed commissioner nominees sent to the House by the Governor, Nyesom Wike. Speaker of the House, Ikunyai Waji Ibani, shortly after the exercise, opened the floor of the House for debate and other issues. The report.
The commissioners designate screened and confirmed by the House are Professor Zacchaeus Adongo, Isaac Kamalu, and George Kelly.
Pursuant to Section 192 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, it is my pleasure to forward the underlisted nominees to the River State House of Assembly for screening and confirmation as commissioners and members of the River State Executive Council. 1. Professor Zacchaeus Adongo, SAN. 2. Honorable Isaac Kamalu. 3. George Kelly.
The State Assembly also referred a petition against Dar Communications, operators of AIT and Ray Power FM, to the House Committee on Public Complaints and Petitions to do its findings and get back to the House by presenting the report of the committee. This follows a petition presented on the floor of the State Assembly by the lawmaker representing Oboe Akpo constituency 2.
1. Invite Dar Communications, being the operator of AIT, to show proof of title and payment of ground rent to the River State government. 2. Should Dar Communications have proof of title, certificate of occupancy, for instance, the House should cause the River State government to alter the size of land presently occupied and allow to it an area not more than 3 plots of land, about 1,399 square meters, which would conveniently serve their purpose. Granting certificate of occupancy to Dar Communications for a vast developed land of over 40 acres of land means ceding 400 plots of land to a private investor whose business is only television broadcasting. There are other broadcasting stations operating within the same area on far smaller portion of land. Directly opposite the AIT station is a radio and television station owned by a River Song, which operates effectively on 3 plots of land of 50 by 100 each. This same size of plot will be suitable for the smooth operation of AIT.
The Speaker of the House, Ukunyi Owaji Ibani, ordered the committee to report back to the House at the conclusion of the investigation.
The Nigerian Association of Women Journalists, NAWJO, Gombe State Council, has elected new executives that will run the affairs of the union for the next 3 years. Talatu Lamon of the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA Gombe, emerged victorious through consensus. Ibrahim Ismail reports.
And I will abide by the rules and regulations of NAWJO.
6 new executive members took oath of office after emerging victorious at the election. Representative of NAWJO from the national headquarters described the election as credible.
Today was fine, even though there were no contests. So it was calm, it was cool. It was a unanimous agreement that so-so person should hold this position for us, this so-so person. So it was a good one. To me, it's a 90 or 95%. So it's perfect, it's good, we love this. It's consensus, so we love it.
In her acceptance speech, the newly sworn-in chairperson of NAWJO, Gombe State Chapter, Talatu Lamon, vowed to work for the development of the union.
I'll operate an open door policy. I'll ensure we collaborate with government, NGOs to see that women journalists in Gombe are not left out in programs and policies that will better lives of women journalists.
Representatives of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, NUJ, congratulated the new executives.
I believe Talatu is someone that is tested and trusted. I hope and believe she is going to perform beyond the immediate past ESCO. And at the same time, I would also like to use this opportunity to challenge the NAWOJ. I want to believe that they are going to focus on issues around girl-child education, issues around gender-based violence, issues around women empowerment. That will go a long way in changing the narrative.
I want to assure the Nigerians, as I said inside, that by the grace of God, we will encourage the new chairperson to make sure that she carries everybody along and to make sure that she carries NAWOJ to where it has never been in terms of development.
The newly sworn-in executive is expected to project the rights and interests of women journalists in Gombe State, in addition to serving humanity. From Gombe, Ibrahim Ismail reporting for Trust TV.
You're still watching Trust TV News Hour. The news continues shortly. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and thanks for staying with us on Trust TV News Hour. And now move to the foreign scene, where a high-speed rail driver was killed and several passengers injured after a train derailed in southwest China's Guizhou province on Saturday. State media reports. The train, which was en route Guangdong province, derailed after running into debris that had fallen onto the tracks near a tunnel. Video footage published by multiple Chinese outlets showed severe damage to the driver's car, which was pulverized by the impact, while the rest of the train remained largely intact. A rail conductor and 7 passengers were injured and sent to hospital, CCTV showed, adding that their lives are not in danger. The footage in Chinese media showed confused passengers and children screaming in one of the train cars after the crash, with food and belongings strewn across the floor of the otherwise undamaged car. And now for a quick look at sports, where head coach Jose Peseiro has called up forwards Victor Osimhen and Samuel Chukwueze, Captain Ahmed Musa, Deputy Captain William Ekong, and 23 other players to the camp of the Super Eagles. Now, this is ahead of this month's 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifying matches against Sierra Leone and Sao Tome and Principe. Nigeria will host Sierra Leone at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium in one of the Day 1 matches in the campaign on Thursday. The Super Eagles will then fly out of the country to Marrakesh, Morocco, to play away to Sao Tome and Principe on June 13th. Statement by Ademola Olajire, Director of Communications of the Nigeria Football Federation on Saturday, said Coach Peseiro also invited goalkeepers Francis Uzoho and Adeyinka Adewale. Olua Aina and Calvin Bassi, Sani Faisal, Semi Ajayi, and Chidozie Awaziam. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Under-17 women team, the Flamingos, have qualified for India 2022 Women's World Cup after playing a goalless draw at MKO Abiola Stadium in the second leg of the qualifiers. The team won the first leg in Addis Ababa, a goal to nil, to qualify on a 1-0 aggregate scoreline. So for more sports news, let's now join Adeni Ajishafe.
Winner of the female category of the 2021 Daily Trust Golf Tournament, Ayo Ikpan, has commended the Management Media Trust Limited for the opportunity to participate in the event in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Speaking in an exclusive interview with Trust TV at TYB Golf Course Weekly Kitty event, Ikpan says her experience in the competition was a memorable one as she competed against other lady golfers, came top and won an all-expenses paid trip to Kigali, Rwanda for a golfing weekend. Ikpan described a time in Kigali as home away from home.
Actually, it was real fun. There was no stress because all expenses were paid. Accommodation, feeding, the return ticket, and everything, even the cost. The caddies, the trolley I used, and everything was paid for. So it was a fun trip. Of a truth, I have to tell the whole world that I'm proud of Daily Trust. If other organizations like that can organize annual events like this that can bring out talents from people, like what they saw in me or like what Daily Trust brought out of me, because I think I played my best in that tournament, because Ibom Golf Club is not a course you play with. It's the biggest golf club in Nigeria. Fantastic course. It's standard international golf club where you play with enough of energy, and for you to emerge a winner in that course, then you're wonderful. And to the glory of God, it was just God that made it, and I succeeded. And I'm proud of Daily Trust, and I believe that year to year they should not relent by putting up this tournament to see that I may not remain the winner for every year. Some other person might come up too, and I will be proud to celebrate that person, because that had been my spirit, to celebrate the celebrants.
Ayo calls for more participation from Nigerian women in golf to ensure more wins for the country at international competitions.
I advise the youths to come up, especially the female, to come up and play this game, because it's challenging. Anytime we go for international tournaments, you see that we are few. But you see the international ladies, bandits, solid players. It takes us the grace of God to, challenge them. But to the glory of God, we've been coming out victorious. And I believe that Nigerian ladies should wake up, come play golf, be serious. The youth especially, let them play so that when we retire, they can be able to represent what we are representing.
The lady golfer described what winning means to her as she hopes to continue winning more Daily Trust golf tournaments in future and call for more of such tournaments from corporate bodies.
Winning means 100%, happiness to me, because it revives me back. It's like renewing my age anytime I win. So that's how I feel.
2021 Daily Trust Golf Tournament drew golfers across Nigeria who competed for honors at the event. That's Sport News. I am Adeni Ajishafe.
Now, before we go, here is a kicker. In Tunisia, where recycling is almost non-existent, one of the country's few recycling companies sorts through mountains of plastic and cuts it into fine chips for industrial use. Let's take a look.
This is one of Tunisia's few existing recycling companies. It transforms mountains of plastic into industrial chips or granules. The company, called African Recycling, started in 2009. Today, it employs around 60 people, mostly women whose husbands are unemployed. Indirectly, the company gives an income to more than 200 people. Its owner, Tariq Masmoudi, has big ideas for the future.
This waste is an added value and we can create many jobs. We have a great lack of plastic waste in Tunisia. Instead of importing this waste from other countries and losing foreign currency, we can use it in Tunisia.
The vast majority of waste in Tunisia is buried at the cost of the taxpayer.
The state is paying about 150 to 200 dinars per ton to dump this waste in landfills and to transport it. In Europe and in other countries, they see this waste as wealth. Many financiers in Europe have invested in waste to make money.
Now, landfill sites across the country are almost filled up. In the central city of Aghareb, a site closed down a few months ago after residents complained about toxic fumes. But authorities had no choice than to reopen it after the neighbouring city of Sfax was buried under rubbish. The decision triggered violent protests mid-November, where one person died. Wali Madassi, an expert on the topic, explains the challenge of good waste management.
If you want to have solutions, you have to have a fixed strategy without being able to change it. And that's what we had in Tunisia. We've had many changes, and each time we come back to the starting point.
There is a further problem. Only a quarter of Tunisians pay housing tax, including a tax on waste.
If people don't pay to ensure the cost of treatment each time, we will never have a project. And this is the problem we have in Tunisia.
Authorities have opted for a hybrid method of sorting, compacting, and composting waste to tackle the issue. But that will only start in 2 years. Until then, the only recourse for many remains illegal dumping.
And before we wrap it up, this news just coming in. President Muhammadu Buhari is right now meeting with the 23 presidential aspirants at the State House, Abuja. We will bring you details of that meeting in our subsequent bulletins. And this is how we wrap it up on Trust TV News Hour for tonight. For more news, you can subscribe to watch us live on YouTube and, of course, follow us across all our social media platforms. I am Ibrahim Yusuf. Thanks for joining us.